Today we will discuss some fascinating evidence that suggests Michael Jackson has faked his death. It all starts with a burn victim that Michael Jackson once met when the victim was just a child. That child suffered severe burns, and I believe that became the key to Michael Jackson's plan. The theory suggests that Michael Jackson acquired a realistic skin suit that resembled the burn victim's appearance, and that this suit allowed him to convincingly portray as the burn victim in an interview after his apparent passing. But how can we be sure it was really him? Well, first we will listen to the audio and compare voices. They are remarkably similar.
Thank you very much for all of your support, and may God bless you all. I love you. Goodbye.
Hello all, this is Dave. How are you? Our world has come to an interesting point in an interesting time. I want to thank each and every one of you for your overwhelming support. May God bless you. I love you. Good night.
Bless you all. I love you. Goodbye.
I think I was at the Encino house.
To his Encino house.
I think I was at the Encino house.
Encino house.
The Encino house.
Encino house.
We notice some uncanny similarities in their facial features. Could this be a mere coincidence, or is it evidence supporting the theory? Let's head over to PicTrav and check that out. Right here we've got Michael Jackson. 19% masculine, 81% feminine, and 50 years old. Right, now let's see Dave, but Michael Jackson as Dave. Not the real Dave. 19% masculine, 81 feminine, 58. It pretty much matches. Right, now the real Dave looks completely different. Much smaller bone structure. Now let's see what it says about the real Dave. 98% masculine, 2% feminine, 48 years old. You see, that's because Dave is a man, and Michael Jackson has had surgery to make his face look like a woman. Even though Dave has smaller bone structure, more feminine, he's actually more masculine than Michael Jackson. Right, now let's compare the real Dave to Michael Jackson's Dave. 39% similarity. They look nothing alike. The real Dave passed away not long ago, but at one point there was two Daves kicking about, the real guy and Michael Jackson with a realistic skin suit. Here are some pictures of Dave, the real Dave, so you can see the difference. Much skinnier, smaller structure, bone structure on the face. Now we will take a look at the interview after his supposed passing.
Joining us now here in Los Angeles, Miko Brando, who was with us almost every night after this untimely passing, longtime Michael Jackson friend attending the funeral. And Dave, yes, that's his name, Dave. He was David Rothenberg.
Look at how nervous he is looking right now.
He was set on fire in 1983, suffered, as you can see, terrible scars. Michael Jackson befriended him and paid for a lot of his surgeries. Dave is also attending the burial.
Dave, Michael Jackson in a realistic skin suit attended his own funeral.
Why Dave?
Well, to liberate myself from the confines of my father's criminality.
He caused the fire?
Yeah. He is a criminal, and he caused all this.
Come on, Michael hated his father too. It's like they're making it obvious.
To free myself of his name and his legacy, I decided to become my own person through changing my name.
We'll find out how Michael helped you, but Miko, is that a typical story of Michael helping people like this?
I think that Michael Jackson was a nice guy, but I'm not sure if he befriended this burn victim, like, planned ahead. It was already part of his plan. He was going to use this guy's face in the future, but maybe not.
Absolutely. When he would hear about stories of people in need or needed help, and when we watched the news together, he'd reach out to them, send them a basket, send them a note, get well, or whatever the incident would be, and he'd always reach out to people and help people. Even driving around town, he'd stop and help people.
How did he find out about you, Dave?
He heard about me, and he had contacted me and wanted to meet me.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 7 years old at the time.
And were you in the hospital?
I was not in the hospital at the time. I was in interim back and forth from surgery.
And what did he do for you?
Well, basically, he befriended me. He took me into his life, which is very rare for Michael to do. But he opened up his arms to me and accepted me as a very good friend of his. And throughout the years, he never let me go.
I believe that's the hearse carrying the body into Forest Lawn. He will be interred. It looks like a beautiful place to have for him, Miko.
It was very nice. It was a very nice compound.
Yeah, we're going to be showing you a close-up of that. That is Forest Lawn. Were you surprised, Dave, to hear from him when you were 7?
Oh, it's a very interesting story, Larry. It was kind of, the visit to his Encino house was very impromptu, and it was kept a secret by my mother. And I had always been kind of a admirer of his, not a fan per se, but I always loved his music. And my mother surprised me one day and brought me up to Neverland. And I entered an arcade, and there were all these Paul McCartney records all over this, The Girl Is Mine, and, you know, this and that. And I remember sitting down, and at the time, my favorite video game was Pole Position. And I was playing Pole Position, and I felt a little tap on my shoulder, and I turned around, and there was Michael.
Michael Jackson is another person totally with the mask.
We all know that Michael Jackson was fond of dressing up. Also, his friends would tell stories of how Michael would wear disguises to go out to the cinema or go shopping. Here is an interview with Akon speaking about the time that he met Michael Jackson. Listen to what Akon says closely.
You know, so I'm going upstairs and I knock on the door. His bodyguard opens, said, okay, he's waiting to meet you. So I walk in and he's in a spinning chair, but he's facing backwards. So I walk in the room and his back is turned. And the guard says, here's Mike, you know, Akon's here. So he just spins around and just, like it was all choreographed, right? So off top, I'm like, oh boy, you know what I mean? We talked about the music, we talked about girls. Like, we had a great, like, incredible time that day. I love movies. He was a moviegoer. He loves movies as well. And he was like, yo, man, I gotta take you to this theater. This new technology they got, it's like 4D. Like, it feels like, you know, the images are right in front of you, like you're actually in the mix of it. And I was like, nah, I know 3D. He's like, no, listen, you gotta check this out. I said, well, let's go. And he paused for a minute. He's like, okay, let's do it tomorrow. And I'm saying to myself, okay, I don't know how we expect to go to the movies, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is Michael Jackson. Like, how the hell are we gonna actually go to the movies? So the next day, you know, he calls my room. We was both staying at the Palm in Vegas. He's like, you ready? I'm ready. I was like, yeah, let me get dressed. But at the time, I thought he was just joking. I didn't think he was really, I thought he was gonna probably just rent, you know, we go through the back late night or something. This is broad daylight. So he grabbed the kids. They looking normal. Mike comes out. He has his disguise on, you know. So I starts laughing because I didn't recognize him, you know. It wasn't like he had a fake mustache or he had a wig or nothing. He just had a simple hoodie on. So when you look at it, he could have easily passed to be a Saudi or somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're going into the mall. We get on the elevator, go down. We're going through the hotel where they have the IMAX thing. And as soon as we walk in, all these kids start coming running towards us, you know? So I'm like, oh, damn, I think they know who he is. And all the kids just caught running up to me, asking me for an autograph. So I'm like, okay, I should just go ahead and should I just toss him off before they recognize who he is or just play it cool? So he shakes his head and like as if, yeah, go ahead, do what you gotta do. So I I'm signing autographs, taking pictures, and I'm looking at these kids' faces and they not even knowing that Mike is standing right next to me. Like, if they only knew this guy was standing right next, you know how much havoc that would have caused up in that place? So we get into the theater and then the manager greets us up front. So he comes and hands us the tickets. We're all seated. So as we, you know, talking, sometimes I forget that he's supposed to be in this disguise, you know. And I keep calling him Mike. Right, and this little girl hears us, she's like, and she looks over, and I think she recognized him, like, I really think she did. So then when I realized she was peeping, then I start calling him Dave. But she wasn't stupid. So she runs up, full speed, goes all the way to the top of the theater. And I see her whisper. And I look up, and the girl's just pointing. And I know she's not pointing at me. Like, I didn't know this. And I think he kind of felt it, too. So right before the movie was over, we just all got up and started walking out. But by the time we got to the car, everybody in that place knew that possibly that could have been him. It was just the funniest thing, man. He was extremely funny, you know, he tells jokes, he laughs a lot, he just liked to have fun.
Why would Michael Jackson fake his own death? I think he was tired of the pressures of fame, he wanted to escape, and he had another job to do, possibly. Some even go further and suggest that Michael Jackson has been living in secret ever since, disguising himself to avoid detection, and living amongst us, watching his legacy unfold from the shadows. Did Michael Jackson fake his own death? Did he wear a realistic skin suit in an interview after his passing? What do you think? I'll finish this video with the rest of the interview. Enjoy.
And I turned around, and there was Michael.
Hold right there.
And you know what, Larry?
What?
At that moment, we embraced, and that embrace never ended throughout our whole entire friendship.
Dave, what don't we know about him we should know?
Well, I believe what people fail to realize is that Michael was a human being. Throughout the years, I think he was kind of stigmatized by the media. And I believe that wasn't really helpful to him or to anybody around him. I believe that Michael was a great person. He has never hurt a soul. And I am happy to have been his friend for all these years and been a dedicated friend.
Amico, how do you explain what Michael did for Dave?
That's just the kind of human being he was. He's very loving, caring. He loved Dave from the day he met him. They became friends. Michael helped him through the years, and that's the kind of person Michael was. I mean, he loved a lot of people, and he'll be missed and loved by a lot of people.
Did he pay for a lot of your medicals?
Actually, he did not pay for my medical. My mother had great insurance at the time.
So what did he do?
Michael offered a lot of emotional support for me. He was there for me whenever I needed to talk to him. He opened up Neverland to me as a means to get away. Metaphorically, he was almost like a father that I never had.
Huh. Well said.
If you have friends who fancy percussion, then play as much shaker as you can.